in the heart of the great jungle, before the counting of bananas, before the first vine bridge was built, before any monkey ever questioned why one troop prospered while another remained hungry, a quiet force was waiting to be discovered. It was a time untouched by numbers, untouched by trade, untouched by the invisible strings that would one day pull the entire jungle from the shadows. A time when every monkey woke up thinking only about survival, not wealth, not profit, not power. All that changed because of a leaf, a simple idea, born from a simple object, a banana leaf, harmless, ordinary, almost invisible in its abundance. No monkey ever looked at a banana leaf and thought, this could reshape destiny. Why would they? These leaves grew everywhere. They were stepped on, slept on, ignored, forgotten. But what if I told you those same leaves, those fragile fluttering sheets of green, would soon hold more influence than the tallest trees, more authority than the strongest troop leaders, and more control over the jungle's future than bananas themselves? What if I told you that these leaves would one day decide who climbed and who fell? What if I told you that buried inside those leaves was the blueprint for something the jungle had never seen before? A system not built on fruit, not built on strength, but built on belief. This is not the story of bananas. This is not the story of traders or warriors or tree dwellers. This is the story of trust, the most dangerous currency of all. Because trust, when concentrated into the hands of a few, becomes leverage. And leverage becomes power. And power becomes control. And long before any monkey understood the cost of a promise, one troop discovered how to turn promises into wealth. They realized the jungle didn't need more bananas. It needed a belief system, a story every monkey agreed to follow, a system so convincing, even the smartest chimps wouldn't question it. A system where value could exist without existing, where something worthless could become everything. And that system started with a leaf. This is the hidden history of how banana leaves stopped being trash and became tokens of unimaginable power. How a forest full of fruits and freedom unknowingly created its own chains. And how the very first banana leaf banks rose, not from generosity, but from genius. What you are about to hear is not just a tale of the jungle. It is the story of every economy that ever existed. Every boom, every collapse, every empire built on the fragile foundation of trust. So sit tight, take a deep breath, because everything you thought you knew about money, about value, about power, about control, is about to be rewritten. This is the rise of the banana leaf banks. Before the banana leaf banks existed, the great jungle ran on something simple. Bananas, real bananas, heavy bananas, bright sun gold bananas. The kind that bruised when they fell. The kind that smelled sweeter with every hour. And the kind every monkey could eat long before it could ever be traded. The monkey tribes survived by exchanging what they had. Fruit for fish, vines for tools, shelter for strength, territory for protection. It was a world powered by barter, raw, clumsy, unpredictable. A strong monkey could hoard bananas for a week before they turned soft. A clever monkey could hang them higher in shaded branches and keep them for a month. But even the strongest, most disciplined monkey in the jungle could never store value for the future. And this was the jungle's greatest weakness. The jungle needed a way to store value without watching it spoil, rot, mold, or get stolen in the night. Bananas spoiled. Bananas were heavy. Bananas attracted predators, jaguars, wild birds, and hungry rival monkeys. Bananas were wealth, but they were fragile wealth. In the far eastern canopy, where the sun hit the leaves at dawn and painted the treetops gold, lived a curious little troop known as the Bright Firs. They were thinkers, observers, innovators, and sometimes schemers. They studied weather patterns to predict when figs would bloom. They mapped fruiting cycles. They counted migration patterns. They noted which branches snapped under weight, and which monkeys could be tricked into trading more than they understood. The jungle wasn't struggling because it lacked bananas. No, bananas were everywhere. The jungle was struggling because it lacked a way to store trust, a way to keep value alive after the fruit died. A way to exchange effort today for security tomorrow. And that promise would take the form of a leaf. The Bright Firs had discovered the first crack in nature's rules. Value didn't have to rot. Value could be imagined, believed in, agreed upon. And so began the first whispers of a new system, one that would eventually reshape every vine, every territory, every banana, and every monkey. In the days after the jungle first whispered about change, as the winds carried rumors from treetop to treetop, a single monkey would uncover the idea that transformed everything. The great jungle had seen hunters, gatherers, tricksters, warriors, but never a thinker like him. He was called Koro, the Bright Fir, not because of status or strength, but because something behind his eyes glowed with questions the others never asked. Koro watched the jungle differently. Where others saw bananas, he saw patterns. Where others saw leaves, he saw possibility. Where others saw daily survival, Koro saw the future. One morning, while the sun painted golden stripes across the canopy, Koro's mind sparked with a question no monkey had ever dared to imagine. What if value didn't need to be stored? What if it could be promised? The thought slammed into him like a falling coconut. Bananas rot. Bananas disappear. Bananas attract thieves. But a promise could last forever. Koro reached down and lifted a fallen banana leaf. Smooth, light, flexible, but sturdy enough to survive a journey across branches. To every other monkey, it was nothing but jungle litter. To Koro, it was potential. He traced its veins with his finger, feeling the structure, imagining what could be written on it. With a sharpened stick dipped in berry ink, Koro drew a symbol, simple, unmistakable, personal. A mark that meant, I, Koro, give my word. And in the jungle, a monkey's word was everything. Then he spoke the sentence that would echo through jungle history. This leaf represents one banana. Return it to me, and I will give you that banana. Not a banana in his hand. Not a banana in his pouch. A banana he promised to deliver later. At first, the jungle erupted in laughter. Who trades real bananas, Chio, for paper? Koro has lost his fur. A leaf is a leaf, nothing more. But beneath the laughter, Koro saw something powerful. Fear, confusion, curiosity. Because deep down, every monkey wondered, what if he's right? Then came a moment that changed everything. A small, thin monkey, one who had barely eaten for days, approached Koro quietly. His stomach growled louder than the parrot's. His eyes were tired, desperate, and he whispered, I will take your leaf. Gasps echoed through the branches. No one could believe it. And when that monkey returned to Koro, leaf trembling in his hands, Koro honored it. He gave him a real banana, a fresh one, a full one, no tricks. In that moment, the leaf transformed. It was no longer just green fiber. It was trust. It was proof. It was value. And trust, once sparked, spreads like wildfire. One leaf became 10, 10 became 100. Monkeys began trading the leaves for favors, for bananas, for grooming sessions, for territory rights, for anything. And within just one moon cycle, the unthinkable happened. The jungle stopped trading bananas and started trading leaves. Banana leaf promises became the new language of value. Troops stored stacks of them. Tree clusters began accepting them as payment. Even elders recognized the symbol of Koro's mark. But something else began growing in the shadows. Something Koro did not expect. With every leaf traded, every promise accepted, every monkey who believed, Koro's influence grew. Not his strength, not his territory, his power. The moment those leaves entered every monkey's paws, the jungle crossed a line it could never return from. A new era had begun, the era of promised bananas. And from this tiny spark, the banana leaf banks would rise. Koro thought he had brought convenience to the jungle. But what he really brought was control. Because when promises become currency, the one who controls the promises controls the jungle. Deep within the banana grove, where sunlight filtered through layers of green and the ground was soft from years of falling fruit, Koro noticed something strange, something no other monkey had ever bothered to observe. For moons, he sat near his stash, watching every monkey that approached, watching how they behaved, watching what they did with their banana leaves. And that's when it hit him. A quiet, powerful truth that would rewrite the future of the jungle. Not every monkey redeemed their leaf immediately. Some monkeys saved their leaves, tucking them under roots or hiding them in empty tree hollows. Some traded them for favors. Some monkeys simply forgot they even had one. Koro watched all of this with widening eyes. He saw a pattern forming, a pattern no one else was smart or paranoid enough to notice. Koro realized something life-changing. The leaves he gave away didn't come back all at once. They returned slowly, sporadically, unpredictably. And that gave Koro an idea that would transform the jungle forever. Koro thought to himself, if only a few monkeys come back each day demanding bananas. Why should he keep the entire pile untouched? He didn't need one banana for every leaf he issued. He only needed enough to cover the few who actually returned to redeem them. This was his breakthrough. This was the spark. The rest of the bananas? He didn't have to keep them in the vault. The rest he could loan out. Koro began giving banana leaves to other troops, even those who had no bananas at all. But he didn't do it out of kindness. Every leaf he lent came with a condition. The monkey must return more leaves than they borrowed. More leaves, for the same number of bananas. That difference was profit. And this, right here, was the beginning of something enormous. The extra leaves the borrowers owed him, that excess, that margin, this was the birth of interest, a concept no monkey had ever imagined, a way to grow leaves without more bananas. With this single realization, Koro created a system where banana leaves multiplied without more bananas, a system where promises became assets, a system where trust became leverage, and in that moment, the jungle crossed a line it could never uncross. The monkeys were trading leaves now, storing them, valuing them, hoarding them, and every time they did, Koro's influence grew. Not because of his strength, not because of territory, but because he controlled the promises themselves. But as leaves multiplied, Koro began noticing subtle signs. Some monkeys returned for their bananas faster than others. Some grew greedy, some doubted. The more leaves in circulation, the more the system relied on faith. Faith in Koro, faith in the promise, faith in the jungle itself. One misstep, one troop failing to believe, and the fragile balance would shatter. The same leaves that brought freedom and convenience could now bring chaos. And Koro understood something fundamental. Control over promises, control over belief, was more powerful than control over bananas. The leaf was not just a token. It was a tool, a weapon, a lever capable of moving entire trees and entire troops. In the jungle, as in any economy, the one who issues the promise becomes the one who rules the system. And yet, for all its brilliance, for all its promise, Koro's system was not invincible. Every innovation carries its shadow, every power, its danger. And as the leaves multiplied, so did the stakes. The jungle had entered a new era, an era where trust and promises would determine who thrived and who fell. As the banana leaf banks grew, the jungle entered a new era of prosperity. Monkeys traded leaves for everything from bananas to territory rights, and a newfound economic vibrancy spread through every vine and canopy. The once humble leaves now became symbols of trust and value. Troops that embraced this new currency saw their resources multiply. New markets opened, and the jungle thrived like never before. Monkeys who once relied solely on physical barter now found themselves at the forefront of the jungle's economy. The banana leaf became a tool of influence, and those who controlled the leaves controlled the wealth. With each passing season, the jungle saw innovations. Monkeys developed new methods of securing their leaves, creating banks, and even establishing lending systems. The jungle's economy was becoming more complex and sophisticated. As the jungle boomed, a psychological shift occurred. Monkeys no longer valued just the physical bananas, but began to see the potential of the leaves. Trust and belief became the foundation of their wealth. Koro's system evolved. Now, monkeys could borrow leaves, invest in their future, and pay back with interest. The concept of credit took root, and the jungle's economy became a dynamic ecosystem of growth and exchange. But as the jungle flourished, a paradox emerged. The more leaves were issued, the more the economy expanded. But the underlying trust was tested. The jungle's growth brought both opportunity and vulnerability. The bright furs, once the innovators, now became the guardians of the system. Their wisdom and foresight ensured that the jungle's economy remained stable, at least for a time. The jungle entered what many called the Golden Age. Bananas were abundant, leaves were plentiful, and the jungle's prosperity reached new heights. Every troop benefited, and the economy thrived. However, as with all great booms, signs of overreach began to appear. Some monkeys, blinded by greed, issued more leaves than could be backed by bananas. The foundation of trust started to show cracks. Koro and the bright furs had to strike a delicate balance. Growth was essential, but stability was crucial. The jungle had to learn that unchecked expansion could lead to its downfall. As the jungle boomed, the tension between expansion and sustainability grew. Monkeys faced difficult choices: innovate and expand, or remain cautious and protect the system. In this booming era, the jungle learned its first economic lessons. Trust, once solid, became fragile. The jungle had to adapt, learn, and evolve to maintain its prosperity. Koro and the bright furs knew that the jungle's future depended on wise management of the leaves. They prepared for challenges ahead, knowing that the balance of power could shift at any moment. The jungle's leaders envisioned a future where the banana leaf banks would ensure prosperity, but with a focus on sustainability and trust. The lessons of the past shaped their path forward. As the jungle boomed, it also set the stage for the next chapter. The prosperity brought new challenges, and the need for balance became ever more crucial. The jungle's story was far from over. The more leaves Koro issued, the fewer bananas he actually had. At first, no monkey noticed. A single leaf for a banana seemed harmless. Trust held. Belief was enough. But the foundation was already cracking. Every leaf promised a banana. Every promise carried a weight. And the jungle is a harsh place to make promises without reserves. Koro, once admired as the wisest monkey in the canopy, began feeling the first tremors of doubt, not from others but from himself. What began as 1 leaf per banana became 2, then 5, then 15. Troops of monkeys clutched leaves in every paw. They swung from vine to vine, trading, bargaining, believing the leaves held real value. But every extra leaf issued eroded the trust that gave it power. And yet, no monkey dared speak up. It was too late. The system ran on faith. Faith that was now stretched thin, like vines pulled beyond their breaking point. Too many leaves. Not enough bananas. The jungle economy began to twist. Leaves that once bought a bunch of bananas now only secured half or a quarter. Monkeys scrambled to gather fruit before the next troop arrived. Chaos spread quietly, like smoke creeping through the canopy. No monkey wanted to admit it, but deep down, they knew. The system was failing, and failure in a jungle is survival or extinction. What once cost 1 leaf now cost 4. The older monkeys remembered the days when 1 leaf meant 1 banana. The young monkeys had never known stability. Every branch, every troop, every leaf trader was caught in a storm, prices climbing faster than any monkey could swing. Bananas became scarce, leaves multiplied, trust decayed. And Koro? He sat atop the highest tree, watching his creation spiral beyond control, wondering if wisdom alone could save him, or if the very system he built would eat him alive. The problem was not just numbers. It was belief, greed, fear, hope. Monkeys hoarded leaves, monkeys hoarded bananas, and in the center, Koro realized the ultimate truth. Power without restraint, trust without verification, promises without reality are the deadliest combination in any jungle or economy. Inflation was no longer an abstract concept. It was the screeching of monkeys in panic, the collapse of vines under weight, the chaos of an empire built on fragile promises. And as the leaves continued to flood the jungle and the bananas disappeared from sight, one question hung in the humid air. Who will survive the collapse? And who will be swept away by promises too big to keep? The jungle was changing, and no monkey was safe. A whisper, at first almost ignored, slipped through the branches. A monkey in the canopy muttered to another, "Koro doesn't have enough bananas to back the leaves." Then another, and another. The message traveled faster than the wind through the vines. It leaped from troop to troop, swinging from branch to branch. Eyes widened, hearts pounded. Every monkey who had once trusted Koro's banana leaf bank suddenly questioned everything. Was their fortune real, or was it a fragile illusion waiting to snap? And just like that, fear became contagious. Not the fear of hunger, not the fear of storms, but the fear that the jungle's entire system of trust could crumble in an instant. From the treetops to the riverbanks, monkeys dropped everything. Mothers left their little ones clinging to vines. Traders abandoned their banana contracts mid-trade. Every troop, every swing, every vine led toward the banana leaf bank. Lines formed that stretched across the canopy, curling around ancient trees. Chatter became shouting. Shouts became panic. Banana leaves, once symbols of wealth, now were demands. Demands for actual bananas. And in the midst of it all, Koro stood frozen. His mind raced faster than any monkey could swing. The same leaves that had granted him power now threatened to undo it all. It was the jungle's first ever bank run. No monkey had ever witnessed anything like it. Lines of anxious primates, hoarding bananas, demanding promises be honored. Koro watched as panic transformed orderly troves into chaos. The strongest monkeys, who had once boasted of their clever trades, now clawed for the safety of tangible fruit. Even the most loyal followers hesitated. What had been faith turned into doubt. What had been respect turned into fear, and Koro realized the game had changed. Trust, the very foundation of the banana leaf banks, was no longer guaranteed. Koro tried to calm the crowd. He offered assurances, promises, even extra leaves as incentives. But the jungle didn't want leaves. They wanted proof. They wanted bananas. And the proof wasn't in Koro's clever accounting. It was in his ability to maintain confidence. But confidence had a fragile thread, and that thread was snapping. Because what the jungle truly feared wasn't losing their bananas. It was losing faith. Every monkey now knew the banana leaf bank could collapse in a single day. Every swing through the vines carried whispers of ruin. The first cracks appeared, then the splinters, then the avalanche. And as the shadows lengthened across the canopy, Koro understood a terrifying truth. In the jungle, trust is more valuable than bananas, and more fragile than any vine. This was the moment every smart capital monkey feared. Not the storm, not the shortage, but the collective panic of minds aligned in fear. It revealed the jungle's most important rule. Power is temporary. Trust is everything. And Koro, the master of banana leaf banks, suddenly faced the ultimate test. Could he rebuild faith? Or would the entire jungle economy unravel before the sun set on this historic day? Monkeys turned on their neighbors. Suspicion grew faster than leaves in the wind. Who had extra bananas hidden? Who had collected more leaves than they deserved? Even allies became rivals. The jungle, once harmonious, now trembled under the weight of broken promises and fear. Koro climbed higher than ever before, staring over the panicked masses. He had created wealth. He had created trust. But he had never prepared for doubt. His mind raced. Could belief be restored? Could the jungle see reason? Or had he unleashed forces too powerful to contain? The leaves continued to flood the jungle. The bananas vanished from sight. And yet, somewhere in the chaos, a small seed of order remained. One troop still held faith. One leaf still carried hope. And Koro had one chance to teach the jungle a lesson it would never forget. Koro, the elder monkey who had witnessed the rise and fall of every troop, climbed to the highest branch and stared over the vast jungle below. He understood something dangerous, something every young monkey must learn. Money isn't bananas. Money isn't leaves. Money is belief. The moment a troop believes in the value of a leaf, that leaf becomes gold. The moment they doubt, even the largest pile rots into nothing. Across the jungle, monkeys gathered, observing the empty branches, the abandoned leaf banks, the scattered fruit. If belief collapses, everything collapses. The vines swing differently when fear enters the mind. Bananas are ignored, leaves are hoarded, trust evaporates, chaos spreads silently until the entire jungle feels it. And it wasn't just the young or the weak who faltered. Even the cleverest monkeys, the sharpest traders of the banana leaf banks, realized too late that wealth is fragile, power is fragile, all of it rests on the delicate thread of belief. And so the jungle rebuilt its system, more cautious, more structured, more aware. The lessons of greed, overreach, and blind faith were engraved into every branch, every leaf, every monkey who climbed the tallest trees. Because money, whether fruit, leaves, or numbers, is simply the story we all agree to believe. It is a shared imagination, a collective understanding, a jungle-wide truth, held in the minds of millions, swinging from vine to vine. This has been the rise of the banana leaf banks, when promises became power, and the jungle was never the same. If you found this journey into the jungle's economy fascinating, if you want to see how trust, belief, and cunning shape not just leaves, but every market on Earth, then swing over and subscribe. Because in the next story we'll uncover how hidden debts move the vines behind every fortune, and how even the smallest troop can learn to harness the power of smart capital. Stay curious, stay aware, and remember, the jungle always watches.